Skippity dip skipperoo! I'm Sonic! Gotta catch 'em all!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 47th episode of Sonic Talk. I'm here with you, as always, Jason Berry, and with me tonight is Alex Peel. Say hi, Alex.
Hello.
And with us also is GX Ekin. How you doing, GX?
Hi, as of today, Forces has officially surpassed Mania as the best Sonic game this year.
And for that blasphemy, Chris, I'm going to sentence you to death. I think I'm going to take that Mario visor around your head and just strangle you with it.
Greater men have tried. You are welcome to try as well.
Oh,
It wouldn't work. It's got a Velcro strap. It won't work.
I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to hire somebody else.
It'll just pop right off when you're trying to choke him, so...
Sure, those things, that thing is kind of cheap.
Yeah,
so we're
and of
going
course,
to Sonic Mania, right?
he's talking about something later. Well, before we get into Sonic Mania, we got to talk about what we've been playing.
Oh.
And a good reason for that is Sega has sent me a review copy of Yakuza Kiwami.
Right, you are obligated to talk about that.
Yeah, and this is just came out. There's a Steelbook edition you can get at GameStop for only $29.99, which is a really good price for this game. It's basically a remake of Yakuza 1 with some extra story moments in it as well. And unlike the Wii U remake of Yakuza 1 and 2 that came out in Japan, that one was just the PS2 version in HD with basically the same graphics. This is completely redone from the ground up using like the, I think it's the Yakuza 5 or Yakuza 6 engine. I'm pretty sure it's the Yakuza 5 engine. It looks...
I thought it was the Yakuza 0 engine.
It might be that. No.
The point is, the engine has been used in Yakuza before.
The point is, it's the good one.
Yeah.
It's the one that you want it to be.
It looks really, really good is basically it. I mean, you got the close-ups of their faces where you can see the pores and everything.
Though the even more important part is that you're already dead.
Not quite there. You're already
You're not even going to pick up... First off,
I know
does
what
anyone
you're
of
saying.
know what I'm referring to?
Fist of the North Star.
Yes! I want to play a Fist of the North Star game in the Yakuza engine.
Well,
Right,
good
that would
news.
look good.
They announced that, so I guess we can play it eventually. So yay! But
Anyway,
Jason,
the other
deal
good
with
news
me.
about this, besides the huge graphics upgrade, is that the multiple stance fighting system from Yakuza 0 returns. So pressing on the D-pad, you can get to any different fighting stance you want. The city of... I keep forgetting the names of these cities. Kamurocho? The city of Kamurocho is up to...
that doesn't sound quite right. Well, let's just go with that one.
Is on display again. Once again, you can just go through all the different worlds, play the bowling games, the batting games. The one thing it's kind of a downgrade for me is that Club Sega you cannot play an arcade video game like you normally could through the sequels. There's a bunch of virtual fighter machines there, and you can't play them, unfortunately. You could do the claw machine.
Come to think of it, the original Yakuza didn't have that either, did it?
Yeah, I don't think it did.
Yeah.
The kids around town are having you play the. If you played the other previous ones, you notice there's a very little arcade video game for the kids that uses cards. And this one you actually play that instead. It's one where you collect these insect cards for battle, except they have these really hot like Japanese models posing in insect costumes.
So it's a
on 'em.
card game about insects that stars Japanese idols.
Yeah,
I think we have hit peak Japan.
yeah.
What the?
I don't think you could name.
Oh, if you play Yakuza, you get the most Japanese of Japanese games there is as far as Japanese culture go.
Now, Jason, sorry. Go on.
The story's actually really good too. I mean, it's the first one of the series, so you're getting one where you could jump in. This is one of the better jumping points besides Yakuza 0, where you get to they get the meat of the story going right away within the first 3 hours. My only complaint, though, is that they upped the prologue of the story, takes about 3 to 4 hours before you can actually get loose in the city and not have to be cut off to just go to these other areas. So that was kind of a bummer for me because I love just touring the city around like that. But it's very heavily story driven. The story's really good so far. The fighting system is as good as it was in Yakuza 0.
So that means it's way better than the original then.
Yeah, it's way, way, way better than the original.
So now, once you're done talking, I got a couple questions about the differences between
One
them.
thing that surprised me is the amount of voice acting in this game. It's almost all of the dialogue, even the stuff that's normally scrolls by in text, is voice acted this time.
Wow,
There's very little non-voice acted text except for a few instances around town.
So, like, even the minor side quest stuff is voice acted.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff.
Wow,
is
I don't
surprisingly
think
voice acted.
I don't think that was voice acted in the original game.
Even like some of the stuff in the main story, which would have been that has heavy text on the bottom, where you're just normally, nodding your head. Their mouths don't move, but you do get the voices inside, which really surprised me. Yeah, it's a top tier game for $30. You're getting a lot of game for that price.
I will say this: I'm a tad disappointed that they didn't use the original dub from the first game, albeit going by how you've explained it, it's given that there's new voice acting.
Well, the problem is there's not only a lot more voice acting, there's a lot of extra story in it.
Oh yeah.
So they can't just use the voice acting from before, because then there's going to be areas that cut off, and you wonder what's going on. Like Kazuma, he in the main story, Kazuma, he's got his Yakuza boss adopted him and his 2 foster siblings. I apologize if I'm saying the names right, because I can't remember them off the top of my head. I think one of them is Nakishi and the other one is Yuri, and he's got a soft spot for Yuri, and Nakishi's like a brother to him. And at one point, one of the mob bosses is trying to rape Yuri, and he goes to interfere, and Nakishi kills the mob boss, and Kazuma takes the blame for it and ends up going to prison for 10 years. And during that time, Nakishi becomes his own mob boss, but he's turning on almost the entire Yakuza and becoming a villain in himself. So he's kind of wasted his time in prison, the poor guy. Is now the guy he saved from going to prison is turning into his mortal enemy. It's a really good story so far.
So have you played the original Yakuza?
A long time ago. I don't think I got like a third into it.
Oh wow! For me, that's the only Yakuza game I've actually beaten. And a lot of noise in the background. And
all of a sudden, my chihuahua's barking. Just a moment. Quiet.
We're gonna have to edit this.
Are you kidding? When has that ever happened?
I'm just stating the obvious, Chris. I'm allowed to do that.
You're stating the aspirational.
Sorry for that noise.
All right. Okay, so we're done with the dogs, and we're done with the.
I can say.
What is that noise? There's another.
I don't hear anything.
All right.
Anyway, I'd give it like about a 9, but without being able to play any arcade games in Club Sega, which is one of my favorite things to do, I'm going to drop it down to an 8.
That seems like a pretty big drop for not being able to play arcade games.
Well, it's part of the fun, though, is just going around that world and you actually see an arcade machine, you're able to play it.
They sell those games. Like, you could buy them in other forms. You're aware of this, right?
Yeah, but that's part of the fun, is having one of those extra games in there.
I can see maybe knocking it down to an 8.9 if the games were that important, but
okay, IGN, thank you.
8.5 at the least.
I believe in very comprehensive scoring. 8.9.5.
0.1%. Does it include other games?
Right. Anyway, I at $30 you can't go wrong. It's an incredible price. Plus, it comes in a steel box.
And yes, be clear. If you don't care about the arcade games, it's a non.
It's a bargain at the price.
So now I got some questions. So like, how does this storyline? Oh wait, you haven't beaten the original game. Crap. Okay.
Well, I already told you there is extras that weren't in the
extra
original storyline that helps.
Like, if the extra storyline felt superfluous, or if it like shed new light on.
No, it does. Yeah, it sheds new light on the main, brother that betrayed you, and and how he went down that road because he's just didn't get any respect from the other Yakuzas and stuff.
Yeah.
So the Yakuzas. Sorry, but
so the fighting system.
They didn't have a lot of respect for him because he wasn't as tough as others. But yeah, the as far as the fighting system's really good in this one. It's really excellent.
For me, like I don't know if I've talked about Yakuza on here before, but for me, the original game, like the storyline and the voice acting were the two best parts of that game. Like it probably stands as one of the best English productions Sega has ever done, in my opinion. So
yeah, that's another shame is that you couldn't play in English, but obviously with the additional story elements, you couldn't.
I mean, you know what? I will take Japanese subtitles over never getting the games.
Right.
I will gladly take that.
Well, no, he wouldn't even have half of these Yakuza games without.
So how are the graphics?
English subtitles.
How are the graphics?
Oh my God, they're excellent. It's shocking how good it looks. Because, like I said, it's using, I think, the Yakuza 5 engine, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. Not quite as gorgeous as Yakuza 6 or 0, but it's up there.
And would you recommend? Now, I've been wanting to get back into Yakuza for a while, but I'm always distracted with other things. But I'd like to do that soon. Would you recommend starting with 0 or this one?
Probably 0 because it explains, Gojima and Kazuma's relationship a little better. But I do like how in this one, Gojima just wants to kick your ass all the time just for fun.
Oh, right. Isn't that like
I love it because he's your best friend. This, that knife wielding, patch wearing maniac, but he always wants to beat you up. And in fact, that's the one thing that makes me laugh about this game is everybody wants to beat you up all the time.
Wasn't he a villain in the original game?
Well, no, kind of. I think he was friends with him, but he was a friend who wanted to kick your ass all the time, just for the hell of it. But
I know in this one.
But I think he does go against you because you're accused of killing your own mob boss who raised you like a son, like a father and son. But it was a sniper from the distance, and so everyone thinks you're a killer.
I know in this.
So if you go anywhere close to his building, he comes out and fights you.
I know in this one there's like an entire mode where he can like or he's like hiding around every corner. He just constantly pops out.
And the one thing that happens. Everyone wants to kick your ass in this game. That's all it is you wandering around. You're trying to be the nicest guy possible, and everybody wants to kick your ass constantly. But I will say this: I really enjoyed is that the difficulty has been ramped up from the previous ones. Like the problem I had is, especially in the first ones, you were just getting mobbed. But now, once you get out of prison, Gojima notices how soft you've become, and so the important part of fighting Gojima is that it helps with your fourth style, which is Dragon, which is your original fighting style, which you've lost. It's kind of like Metroid, where you're kind of gaining that back up. Yeah, by helping fight Gojima, because Gojima, except for certain areas, he can kind of kick your butt pretty easy. So after 10 years of being in prison, you've gone soft, and now you're building yourself up again. So it's a nice bit of challenge to it. I was barely surviving certain areas because it took a while before you could just go and buy the what do they call it, the taurine and the toughness Z. It's called the stuff that gives you health and gives you stamina. Yeah. It takes a while before you can actually get that stuff. So I was getting almost killed left and right.
Wow.
Because my health energy was going down.
It sounds more difficult than the original game.
It sounds it's about as difficult as the original game. That's my one thing I like about this one over the other ones. The other ones have gotten a little bit soft as far as difficulty, and this one was a bit more of a challenge.
By the way, I think you've been calling him Gojima. His name is Goro Majima, I think.
Majima. I'm sorry, I get those names mixed up so much.
All right.
I'm terrible at the Japanese names.
So, especially
because
is there anything else you want to talk about?
Especially since once his name is Kiryu Kazama, and his boss is Kazuma, with a U and an A, and that's I was just getting confused the whole time. I was looking at their names, but yeah, that's about it. I really recommend it, especially at $29.99. You can't go wrong with that price.
That's
especially with the amount of content you're getting out of that game.
Chris, you got any questions?
Not really. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I just don't have the time, and I need to finish 0.
Yeah, I need to do 0. So Yakuza 9.56 out of 10.
I'd say 8.5.
And has anyone here actually played Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle?
I have.
I haven't. So don't do any plot spoilers, guys.
Oh my god!
Well, it actually does have a plot.
Spoilers of Mario and Rabbids. My guess is that
it does have
Mario
more plot than
Rabbids
most Mario games. I'll give it that.
All right. Well, if there are any cool twists, try to step around them because I want to get to that game in the next.
Well,
week.
if you don't want me to tell you anything about the introduction story,
there are Rabbids, but they're dressed as the Mario characters.
Yeah, I know, but that's not the plot, Chris. Jeez.
Spoilers.
Chris, I'm going to be very irritated with you. No, I'm not. You're too lovable. I can't lie. Okay, any case. So has anyone aside from Jason played Kingdom Battle? Chris, have you played Kingdom Battle?
I am unfortunately in money hoarding mode aside from buying board games, and I get my 3D printer this month. Yay! So I unfortunately, until that happens, I don't think I could get Yakuza. I don't think I could get Mario and Rabbids. I don't think I could even get Azure Striker Gunvolt collection, which I also want.
Have you been playing anything lately?
I played some stuff over vacation. I finished up Mania, which will be the main discussion. I finished up Ever Oasis, so I'm very happy with that. It's a game I like enough that I've played a significant amount of the post-game stuff. I will comment that Ever Oasis is a great game if you want, it's really good at laying out what you can do next. And if you have something that you want to craft, it'll tell you, go to this place and kill this enemy, and it will get you the material you need, that kind of thing. If you have a mission, it'll tell you where and when and how. The one big complaint I'm kind of having with it, and there's only so much I can complain about it because it's post-game stuff, is that there are 4 late-game sections called the Labyrinths, which are more or less like, we'll say, procedurally generated dungeons in the game that are mostly about, here's a room, there's one button that will open the door and 3 other buttons that will unleash enemies. Here's maybe 2 doors, one of them leads to a heal, that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, there are some items that you can only get exclusively in there, and that leads to a lot of random chance if you'll encounter those enemies or not. You can kind of influence it by getting certain items in the game and using them, but if you're on a mission where you have to beat this boss, and this boss is in this labyrinth, and it's going to be of random chance whether you get that boss or not.
Wow.
That can be irritating.
That sounds very irritating.
I can get through it enough that once you're of a high enough level, you can accomplish it more quickly. and I've gotten some pretty high-level gear that I can do it, but with the game establishing a very set... with the game giving you so much information and then introducing a section where everything is randomly generated and asking you to accomplish something in it, it just kind of feels like a weird disconnect that I'm not super happy with, but I can deal with it because I still like the core of the game. So take that as you will. It's still basically Zelda meets Secret of Mana meets Xenoblade Chronicles X or something.
Sounds like an interesting combination.
And then I've also been playing Metroid Zero Mission for another project, which will be next week.
So, am I going to say anything about Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, or do you want to save that for the next show?
Sure.
As I played through there's an introductory world that gets you used to the basic mechanics of the game, and then there's world 1 to 1-8, where you have a bunch of different small battles and then the main boss. And it's a really, really good game. I'm surprised how well detailed it is. Graphics look incredible. I love the modeling on it. Good character design, and it's just a breath of fresh air because it's something with Mario that's so drastically different from anything you've played with him.
I love hearing you say good character design because I have been... Everyone has had a lot of the same sentiment. I guess I'm going to establish this right here. What is your... Prior to this game, what was your attitude towards the Rabbids?
I thought they were just okay, mostly for kids and mostly like party game stuff. I did like the original Rayman Raving Rabbids on Wii U. Other than that, I didn't really care too much for them, except they were like minions, only not really that funny. and they didn't really have as many individual personalities. So that's something I like about this, is that it's like I have the Peach Rabbit and the Luigi Rabbit and the Mario one and the others. They have their own kind of personality quirk to them now. And that makes them, more funny, more enjoyable, I think. And part of it's, well, minor spoilers, is that things are between the Rabbids and Mario world are getting kind of merged because of a machine, which I won't mention too much of.
Because of Ubisoft and their evilness.
No, but it's not the kind of game you'd expect that stars Rabbids. I mean, Mario maybe, because you've had Super Mario RPG and those kind of games, but Rabbids, when I heard Mario and Rabbids, I was instantly expecting party game when you heard about it first at E3, and which
I kind of find funny because everyone remembers the initial Wii game, but nobody, and I mean nobody, and obviously sales justify this, nobody at all remembers Rabbids Go Home, which was a Michel Ancel game, which was very good. I enjoyed that game very much, and it's why...
I think I remember that game.
It's one of the reasons why I probably don't have the same attitude towards the Rabbids as other people do, is because that was a fun game. I remember it. I like it. I also maybe don't necessarily have the same abject hatred of minions that other people do. I don't love them, but I respect their existence, and there have been movies that contain them that I like.
You're okay with them being alive. That's why you respect them.
Let me put it this way:
the way you put that,
I don't hate minions. I hate some of the lazy commercialism centered around them, such as someone buying a T-shirt that just says banana on it and has a picture of it, because that has nothing to do with anything. That's a T-shirt with a phrase and nothing. I like the minions that are subservient to supervillains in a weird supervillain / spy combat world.
I'm not big on the minion ripoffs that are popping up in a bunch of movies these days. But I think the minions are fine. I think the Rabbids are fine. I've never hated them. And
this
I'm
is
looking
just the
forward to
argument that has this is just the interesting conversations that have been happening on my various social circles lately, is that I don't hate them, and that's unusual.
No, I mean it's not like they're tailed or anything.
So I guess I got to ask then: are the XCOM comparisons really justified, or do you
Yeah,
think
I mean,
that-
this is a cover-based, a turn-based cover-based strategy shooter RPG, which is amazing to think about. I mean, because you have different like silly guns and laser guns to use against your enemies, along with drones that you can put out and circle around and hit them with. It's all about where the best cover to use and the best way to flank the enemies, the other, bad guy rabbits. There's good guy rabbits and bad guy rabbits in this.
and Donkey Kong Rabbids?
Yeah, I just finished beating the Donkey Kong rabbit. Yeah.
That's one of the early bosses, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
pretty tough because he's got a horde of bananas in front of him and he can just heal himself instantly as long as he's got that horde. So you have to constantly take out his horde of bananas to defeat him.
How are the graphics? Do they look like
That-
something that Wii U could do?
Yeah, but I think they're tighter than that. I think it's 1080p at 30 FPS. It looks really, really good. It's hard. It would be hard to tell. You played, I think, in portable mode, so it'd be hard to tell in that. But but on screen, I think it's full 280, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Especially all the environments you're running around, because in between battles, you could just run around in this large environment. You're collecting coins. You sometimes go through a red hoop and collect red coins. They're all hidden about. There's a lot of hidden little items to get that you unlock so you can get better weapons in that. I hear there is season pass because obviously with the different weapons and stats you can build, there's a battle HQ where you do that. It's obviously designed that with like DLC in mind and stuff.
Yeah,
apparently
there's
If you buy an early copy of the game, you get these pixelated weapons, which, if you're using them through the tutorial level, are super powerful, and you just go through that real easy. The battle, surprisingly, I thought at first it was just this relaxing, easy game that was just kind of fun, but later it gets really, really tough. And surprisingly, but before every battle, you can press Y for easy mode, which gives you a 50% health boost and heals your characters before battle, because oftentimes you're going in from one battle to another while you still have damage on your character. So that's an interesting way to get around that, is to have that. And it doesn't look like there's any punishment for it. If you want to do easy mode, you can do easy mode. If you want to be tougher, you don't have to. It's kind of a nice little thing for them to do for that.
It sounds that definitely sounds like Nintendo input. I mean, it might not be, but it sounds like it.
I was listening to Podquisition, and they, I think, Lord K. Buzz said it best. It's an Ubisoft game, but it feels so much like a Nintendo game, including the writing and everything in it. It doesn't seem like, it seems like Nintendo made the game with Ubisoft characters, not Ubisoft made the game with Nintendo characters. I mean, it's a really good quality product. I was surprised at how much I'm enjoying it right now. And it's a nice palate cleanser compared to a lot of the other games you're playing, where you're playing shooters or fighters or platformers. It's something very different, and it's surprisingly a large amount of fun.
Well, at least we can rest easy knowing that Sega will always have the thoughtful clarity to never give a Sonic character a gun.
Yeah. That's completely right.
Not here in 1994, which we are apparently now residing.
Yeah.
And Sonic Team's level design is so good, they're actually doing a class in Japan on level design and using forces as a example.
Sonic Team.
Yeah.
I'm going to repeat that again. Sonic Team. Now, I like Sonic Team. I like Sonic games. I'm not going to knock their level design. I'm also not going to say that they are the prime example to show off as level design success in the last 15 ever. I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
As much as I like Sonic Colors, Sonic Colors,
I guess
the playing on
as
that was very flat for the most part. but that was still an enjoyable game. I think if you're going to use level design, maybe Generations that had much better level design than current Sonic games. But
I mean, okay. There's still professionals there that probably have something to teach. That just seems like a weird thing, a weird choice.
I don't want to knock it too much because I still enjoy those games pretty heavy. But level design, especially in these early levels of what they've been showing in Sonic Forces, and that really impressed me much. I don't want to get into Sonic Forces yet, though.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
So we'll go with that. Yeah.
It would be like, what if Platinum was doing a class on storytelling?
Well, you see, you gotta focus on the butt here, and you gotta make sure that when you shoot the angels, you need to make sure you show all of her curves.
Does it make sense? Then the end user's not going to like that. You got to make sure you're alluding to stuff that the user hasn't experienced and will never experience in the game. You got to make sure that one scene has nothing to do with the next scene. They're just going to get bored. They're going to get bored if they start to understand things.
All right, so we gonna move on to Sonic talk.
Oh, yes, we're going to talk to Sonic Talk, and we're talking about Sonic Mania, which it's probably going to be the boo.
Which is listen. It's a very serious condition that's affecting our country, and if you cannot take it seriously, Alex, then I don't think you're welcome on this podcast. Millions are affected by this mania just every year.
Chris, for your information, I have Sonic Mania, and so therefore I'm allowed to not take this seriously. You want to know why? You want to know why I don't have my camera on right now? It's because I'm in a hospital bed. That's how bad it's gotten.
People who suffer from Sonic Mania include people who stream it before the game is out and start anti-Jewish and racist remarks while streaming the game.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
Sonic screams anti-Semitic to me. That's the real story of Sonic Adventure 2.
Look, I'm a Jew. I know these things. Has no one else ever noticed the anti-Semitic context underlying all of these games?
You notice it in hints. I mean,
it's obvious Eggman's Jewish. That big nose and everything.
And Sonic, he doesn't like those sorts of people.
And he grabs all the rings. He wants all the gold to himself.
I'm
okay,
sorry
we should move on now.
This conversation might be too stupid for me.
Chris, there's no way we can be too stupid for you. We don't have the talent for that.
That's true. You did not record and publish Roller Gator. So
no, we did not. Nor Manos Hands of Fate or the Bergs. Wait,
Manos Hands of Fate.
Birdemic, I meant to say.
Manos Hands of Fate and Birdemic are far more watchable than Roller Gator.
Oh man, I got
Poochie the Rockin' Dog is cooler than the main character in Roller Gator.
But is Rex from
I'm gonna have to look up Roller Gator on YouTube now.
You're gonna watch the Rift. No, I'm sorry, Jason.
Those are the worst special effects I've ever seen. That looked awful.
For context, I had watched the riff tracks for Roller Gator. It is the most 90s dad attempting to appeal to a second grader I've ever seen in a movie.
And with that, now that we're back in the 90s, we should probably start talking about Sonic Mania properly.
I mean, I prefer
crap.
Pac-Man Fever, but we've gone on that tangent already, so.
Well, we know it's an inferior game.
Well, yes, we've established that Sonic Mania is the inferior game.
No, you're right.
If for no other reason, then I can now dress my anthropomorphic avatar as Beat from Jet Set Radio. which is the most important aspect of Sonic Mania, which is the most important aspect of the Sonic franchise.
Wow, that was
Well, that's something we're
parts.
going to. Well, we still haven't gotten to Sonic Mania. Let's where Sonic Force is supposed to be for later.
Want to do the news first?
I guess we're going to have to because he wants to talk about that so much. Okay, well, Sonic Mania, but it didn't happen on when last time we recorded this, but as it came out, like days before it came out, they announced that Sonic Mania was going to have to be delayed for 2 weeks before it hit PC, which it just hit. We're recording this on a Thursday, the 31st, which it'll probably be September 5th or so by the time you hear this.
Okay.
Yeah, and it hit on the August 29th at noon, and they found out by surprise there's DRM in the game from
Always unlock
Nuvo.
That Sonic Mania was too retro. They needed something to remind people that that's actually a game being made in 2017 on a PC.
It's a $20 game
That's what
that
it is.
came about because of modders who got so good at modding classic games.
Not
they were able to
modding. They weren't that. They didn't mod. They were out
Oh, they
there
made their own. Sorry, I apologize. They made their own fan games.
with their own engine from the ground up. Sorry.
But I
Now,
mean, I would say the
me-
modding community is kind of a start base for that kind of fan creation.
Let's be 100% fair here. Did those developers opt for that DRC?
No.
Okay.
I think that's something. Don't blame the developers. Don't blame Aaron Weber. I think this came from a much higher, authority.
Yeah, these sorts of decisions usually do.
And I'll say one thing that's been updated. You can now play this offline if you choose, which is good because I like to have a Sonic collection on my PC. So when I take it to events like Sonic Revolution, people could just play, the entirety of the Sonic franchise as they will. But it's also kind of cuts off, modding, but it's mainly for anti-piracy. The problem with I have with DRM and a lot of that stuff is it's kind of its own form of malware where it's running in the background of your PC. And depending on the type of DRM it is, that can actually slow or damage your computer. I'll share a case of my own where my sister was constantly using my laptops and my other computers to do her paperwork for her job as a nurse on. And they had her go to a website to finish it up. And I only realized lately that website had some kind of DRM or some kind of malware to it where it would slow down my computers. Because after a while, she started complaining that the computer was running too slow. That she kept thinking it was the Wi-Fi in her room the Wi-Fi router wasn't reaching all the way, and even though it was running fine on my room. But when she started borrowing my desktop computer here, when I wasn't at home, she'd come in here and use it. She did it once when I went to San Diego Comic-Con. And I came back, my computer was running so slow it eventually crashed, and I had to reboot it to a state where it was working properly again, and that fixed it. And then 2 weeks later, it crashed big time again because she had used it the day before. So
Dang.
that's a real problem with that kind of stuff.
Now, if you have concerns specifically, this version of Sonic Mania uses Denuvo, and the original issue is that it's always online. Doing some very, very quick research,
That's been taken off now.
Right. The biggest concern a lot of people seem to have with Denuvo is that it would shorten the lifespan of a solid-state drive, typically by writing and rewriting too much too often. And that would be the concern. So that might be something to think about if you are considering the PC version. I don't necessarily know if it would make a difference if it was installed on a if the game itself and the software installed are on a non-solid state drive. I also don't know if it gives you a choice of where to install it of the DRM itself versus the game. So something to consider. Other than that, I mean, it is kind of a concern that it does mean, hey, we may very well not get a modding community until this
Yeah.
is cracked. And
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm disappointed in. It's one thing I was excited for Sonic Mania on PC, which I was eventually going to buy. I already have it on freaking Switch and PS4 because I got impatient. and I wanted to have it first record because PS4 I can record and play to YouTube very easily, where I can't with Switch.
man, wouldn't it be great if Sega was if in this case where Sega is releasing a classic styled Sonic game, if they recognized you online if you bought multiple copies of the same game for different platforms.
What would they call that program now?
I don't know, but if they were,
I know you guys are referencing something, but I don't remember what it is.
I forget the name of it, but it happened. It's for Sonic 4.
Oh, Sonic 4 Episode 2, right?
No, Sonic 4 Episode 1. They wanted you to buy it on as many platforms as you could.
Huh.
It was so bad, and so anti-consumer.
Yeah.
Well, so is DRM, really. I mean,
DRM is
they're trying to stop piracy, but in the long run, it just hurts the people who want to actually buy your product because pirates have already cracked the game and they're already making mods on the game.
Now, personally, I've never really run into many issues with the DRM.
So why have something on it that hurts your consumer base? That people who are going to steal your product anyway are going to find a way around it very easily.
Because you have the idea in your head that it will somehow slow them down.
Denuvo is basically just security theater for gaming companies. Something they spend millions of dollars on just so that they can have the illusion of security, and also inadvertently inconvenience their customers. It's basically like the TSA at the airport. They spend millions of dollars on some impotent security that doesn't actually do anything.
We know who gets extra searched next time.
yes, it will be Chris Ports.
One thing I don't want to make it sound completely negative on Sonic Mania for PC. The one good thing is they did make some improvements. They fixed some of the bugs, which there are a lot of bugs in this game, some of which have actually helped me instead of hurt me. But they have fixed some bugs, and they put it. And once you collect all 7 emeralds, if you want to be Sonic, but you want to still have that charge boost, or what's the extra?
It's the drop dash.
Drop dash. Thank you. Oh my god, I couldn't remember the name. If you still want to have the drop dash without turning into Supersonic, they put Supersonic on an extra button. This is going to be an update that's going to come to the consoles soon, but it's already available on the PC. So that's a bit of a bonus there.
Now I do need to say this. I don't have the PC version, but my roommate Corey got it, and he had some weird issues with his controller. I don't remember if it was.
Well, yeah, that's another news thing. There is some poor controller support. It doesn't support a lot of different controllers.
Well, he was able to get it to work, but basically, like when he would press right, it would go right twice and stuff like that, and it was just very, very imprecise glitchy controls, and he had to go into settings to fix it.
So I was able to fix it at least, but yeah, it's having some issues with certain controllers.
But thankfully,
that's something that's not Denuvo or DRM based. That's something they'll patch in the future, so it's not anything to worry about too much.
So tag mode in Sonic Forces. I like the idea.
Something that we can do when I'm with you. You're not
I enjoy that
song.
I enjoy that song. I'm glad that's actually in the game.
Battle to the battle's won. That's how it's done.
I have no idea what you're doing. I apparently must have missed a trailer.
Double boost.
He is singing
in the trailer for half the level. You are running in a straight freaking line, barely moving from side to side. Sonic's next to you. Eventually, guys decide to do this maneuver like the Mega Powers Unite, like Macho Man and Hulk Hogan, where you're rapidly pressing the square button to grab each other's hand and then run down the field, still in a straight line, collecting perfectly aligned rings that are 10 by 10 grid along the way and boosting through robots. When we were talking about poor level design, this right here, for the first half of this level, you are just running in a straight line, except you suddenly get this extra boost mode when you're tagging with Sonic, because you're both playing together.
So I would like to bring up the following question.
Yeah.
Do you think this is real, or do you think it was done for the sake of showing off in a trailer?
Well, it wasn't in a trailer. It was at Gamescom. It was a level from the game.
Jason kind of stumbled into this. Basically, tag mode is something that they showed off as just a fully played level, and the level design is fairly simplistic. It looks kind of early, like the other level that they've shown off.
That's the one problem I'm having with this game is they keep showing levels that are super early in the game, and it makes the game look very, very shallow as far as level design. I mean, I'm sure later in the game it's better, but right now it just looks incredibly shallow as far as level design.
But Chris, have you not seen tag mode?
I haven't, but I don't know. I will say it gets better once. I find it funny that you're describing it as this early level in the game feels kind of shallow, because historically that's not what Sonic games have been. They've usually really, really, really focused on the first level of the game because that was the big marketing push.
Well, the early game, the early levels of the generations and colors did tend to be pretty straightforward.
Now, part of this could be just for what they're showing off at like conventions and stuff. They just want to get these 1 to 2 minute levels through, and it's possible that they've edited them down, whittled them down considerably. Like when you're playing Mirage Saloon Act 2 at
E3, yeah. No boss battle at the end. You just drop to the floor and then go right. You're not fighting Naked Bean and what have you. And so for this, it's all the levels are just like 1 to 2 minutes each, which is like even incredibly short, even for a Sonic game. And I'm wondering if it's just that they're highly edited, which is I hope is the case, because this was possibly the most shallow of the levels I've seen so far. I mean, it's okay once they get into the pyramid and you're jumping around these gears for a little bit, and you see there's certain areas you can go to. If you have the boost mode, you can just kind of fly through the level. If you have the ring,
I'm going to stop you there for a second.
Let me just get through this. You can take the rings through the level, or if you want to just do it straightforward and on the gears, you can actually turn the robots into cubes and go from there. But there's one thing I like is that they kind of brought back the drift that was in Sonic Unleashed. I noticed that when your avatar is turning tight on a certain incline, they'll take their I don't want to say leash, grappling hook, and grab the end, and they'll grab Sonic on one end and turn tightly around the corner. And I think that's kind of like the drift mode, and I'm digging that. But other than that, it's just very plain.
So the reason I want to stop you right there, because for the sake of myself and anyone else who hasn't seen it, give me the brief description of what makes tag mode different.
Well, okay, so basically you're playing as both Sonic and the buddy character. And if I remember correctly, the level started off with Sonic running through the stage, gathering rings and shit, boosting through enemies. And then there comes this point in the middle of the stage where I don't know if it was automatic or not, but
Sonic and the Avatar meet up, rapidly tapping one button, and they're reaching back to just hold hands.
So let me make sure. Here's the thing that you're not getting at. They kind of want to know: are you playing characters in tandem, or are you playing characters
I'm trying
together?
To get to that. So you start off as Sonic. You press the square button at a certain point in the level. They hit hands, and then you switch to the buddy character. You blast forward. The fist bump thing song is playing, and you run up the pyramid, and you stick with him for the rest of the next stage.
Yeah, so you're literally holding hands with Sonic for most of the level.
It's basically like the Sonic 2 or Sonic Mania buddy thing. You don't control the two characters in tandem. It's more like Heroes or something
Mostly
like that.
controlling the avatar, but there's times where you're like holding hands together for a long time.
So, are the level sections specifically designed for one character to get through?
Yes, they are.
Or are they designed that any
They're
character?
designed for one character to get through.
Yeah. So, like, the opening bit was all about running. The second half was all about the avatar's wisp powers.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's like there's one video on IGN.
First.
There's one video on IGN that shows the several different wispons you use for the weapon. I'm looking at the video here. No, you'd use Sonic and the Avatar at the same time all the time.
Well,
they're not
I
always holding
Sonic-
hands, but it doesn't look like you're switching between them. It looks like you're just controlling both of them at the same time.
I mean, I honestly don't care if they're holding hands or whatever they're doing.
Well,
I mean, I'll save that for my fanfic.
They're mainly holding hands for the boost.
I just care, how is this going to influence the way I play? Because that's kind of the thing that...
Well, here's the thing. It plays pretty much like a modern Sonic level, except there's somebody next to you. And that's about it.
Okay, so you're controlling two characters together, sort of.
I mean, I really...
Yeah, exactly. You're controlling two characters at the exact same time.
Okay.
I mean, you only have access to one character's powers at a time, but sure.
Right.
One character.
I don't know if it's a thing where. I honestly don't know if it's a thing where you could just like press R and L and suddenly you're controlling Sonic and the other one's following you.
I'm pretty sure that the point. I'm pretty sure that the point where you have to mash down the square button, this pre-scripted area where you switch characters.
Yeah, that's very scripting.
So you play as Sonic, hit the square, then you play as the buddy character. That's how it works for what I saw in the video.
Okay, you guys were going into a very lengthy description about this whole process, and really all you could have said is, it's like Sonic Heroes.
No,
or
well,
it's
with Sonic Heroes, you can switch between the other characters anytime. I think that's a pretty big difference between what we're seeing here and what Sonic Heroes was. But anyways, yes, we're right. We were taking way too long with this. I didn't want to take this long with this. So I
do notice they're switching. I'm watching the video. I do notice they're switching in between characters. I just don't know.
My God, this is like Sonic Heroes. And right down to, why are the characters talking to each other throughout so often?
Oh yeah, not only that, Sonic is talking to you. Oh, we'll get them right, buddy. You're saying nothing back. You're not saying a word.
Well, that's at least somewhat okay. Like, I don't necessarily need
you're basically
Sonic
Gordon
gabbing to them the whole time. They need to prove themselves in this context that they can actually do writing. Like, I haven't seen entertaining writing necessarily since Sonic Colors. I mean, Generations is fine, I guess, but
I mean, as in terms of writing, there's like I got a kick out of Secret Rings, but Secret Rings Colors, I think that's kind of in it in terms of
Colors. Colors is my favorite, I think, out of the range.
Sonic games with any decent writing.
I'm glad I'm seeing that. Despite the fact that there is a significant amount of content in this full stage playthrough, it at least goes fast. One of the biggest criticisms I have is I don't know why there needs to be significant combat in Sonic, but at least it looks like it's over.
I was a little worried when I noticed that those skier areas were essentially enemy rooms, but thankfully, yes, they die very quickly. So, like, enemy rooms, that's like the bane of Sonic level design as far as I'm concerned.
That was one of the big things that killed Sonic Heroes.
Well, I didn't mind it in Sonic Heroes because you had...
Oh, I hated it in Sonic. Sonic Heroes was, if you didn't build this character formation, you probably loved it because it was like, give all these power orbs to Knuckles.
For me. It was the level design was the problem with Sonic Heroes, especially in the latter half.
I love making Knuckles super strong, Chris. But,
that's because it was the only freaking thing. It was the only freaking way to get through some of those levels because of the stupid kill rooms. What are you gonna do? Fling single characters at them?
I didn't hate the kill rooms until Shadow the Hedgehog. But yes, they did. They are just bad Sonic level design in general.
Worthless consumer models.
So Sonic Forces coming out November 7th for $40. Yay!
Yeah, a good price. That's a very good price.
Good price, nice date. A whole week after Mario.
I hope that's to
Ooh,
encourage
I
people to
realize
buy
that.
it and not indicative of its state.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that indicative of its content? I mean, that's not the case with like Yakuza Kiwami, where there's a ton of.
Sega has. I mean, you could interpret it a couple ways. Sega has a history of charging slightly less for their Sonic games, even as early as
a Lost World and
All-Stars
Generations were
Racing
$49.99.
But at the same time, I'm used to that being 50. This is 40. It's a little bit weirder. So there's a couple ways that you might be able to interpret that. Obviously, one, it could be that they're focusing on kids and maybe it's cheaper for kids to have this. Second way, you could interpret it as
maybe it doesn't have as high a budget as.
It might not be high budget. It might not be a whole lot of content. I mean, for all we know, maybe they're bolstering a lot of the content with you can get all these parts for your dudes. Here, make a bunch of dudes. And it's going to be fun that way. Replay this level as a cat this time, and it's going to be slightly different feeling because cat.
Cats play a bit differently, yeah. But so yeah, I'm happy about the price. I might even be willing to buy 2 versions of the game at that price eventually.
I might have to pre-order this game.
I'm definitely getting the PS4, yeah, because if you pre-order the game, you get a Sonic Forces controller skin for either your PS4, your Xbox One, or your Switch. Not PC, of course, because they're
except for the fact that didn't Nintendo specifically warn you not to put controller skins on there because it peels off the paint of the remotes?
Yeah, so if you're gonna put a Sonic Forces on your Nintendo Switch controller, it's going to stay there for the rest of its existence.
Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Destroy hardware? Yeah, they do that very well.
But
not only that, you get the special DLC skin for your avatar character from games such as Persona, Super Monkey Ball,
Nights in the Dreams,
the
best
Puyo
one.
Puyo, and I think that's about it.
Well, no,
Jet Radio.
Oh yeah,
The best one that Alex is too stupid to admit.
Nope. Second best. Well, actually,
You
no.
can dress your animal character as Beat of Jet Set Radio.
Or just
you
if I can at least have the goggles, I'll be happy.
Nights in the Dreams, or that guy from Persona 5 who doesn't have a name. Protagonist from Persona 5. You can dress him as that.
Ah, yes, Protagonist, the best video game character.
I forgot what I called mine. I need to get back to that. But I don't normally pre-order, and I'm not sure if this is something that'll get me to. I mean, I admit the Nike skin is tempting, but I don't know.
I'll pre-order because if I'm gonna get free stuff for getting a game I'm gonna get anyway.
Well, I want to get the digital version, and I can't pre-order that. So
That's fair. This is a case where I kind of don't care if I'm getting the digital or physical. I mean, I would very much like the extra things to dress my character up as other things because that sounds stupid, and the create a character sounds like my kind of stupid as well. So it's like chocolate and peanut butter, except both of them are stupid. I don't know.
Oh man,
it
that
sounds
Nike's
fun.
one is tempting. That Nike's one is so gosh darn tempting. Nike's is so good. All y'all got to play some Nikes in the Dreams, yo.
I played Nights into Dreams. I
It's the best
don't
game
necessarily agree with your opinions on it, but sure.
Although, if we're going to start talking about our opinions on a game, maybe we should start talking about that new game with the blue guy. It's causing kind of manias across the country. You know, it's very Very
Mighty
sickening.
Gunvolt.
No,
Knack 2, which
no,
comes
Mighty-
out this next
Mighty
Tuesday.
number 9.
Shovel Knight.
No, Mighty number 9. Why do you keep
No, but
naming
Mighty
your
number
gun?
9 isn't blue. What are you talking about?
He has lots of blue in his character.
He's like a dumb silver thing who jumps in front of pizzas and insults anime fans.
Hey, he didn't insult the anime fans. The narrator did. Don't put this on him.
Deep Silver did because they know how to advertise a game.
Isn't Deep Silver also? Oh God, they're doing Shenmue. Oh God, damn it!
Deep
Oh, I wanted to,
Deep
I wanted to do
Silver
my,
is the
one problem
company
I wanted
that
to bring a camera is I wanted to do my Shenmue 3 impression where I'm just punching while staring out into space blankly without any
Well,
expression on
okay.
my face
In
whatsoever.
defense of that, apparently the game doesn't have any facial animations right now. That's why the faces look so stiff.
that game looks weird. I don't know about that. Even devoid of where it is at developmentally, obviously it's probably going to be exactly what you want, Alex, in that it is going to be another Shenmue, literally that.
Yes.
I am
And-
very curious to see how the rest of the world approaches that for as much as it
they
made.
are going to not approach
Yeah.
this with rose-tinted nostalgia goggles. Let me tell you, they're gonna. What the hell is this? This stiff-ass old shit.
Yeah, this was the first and last time I'm doing a Kickstarter because it might still be good, but a lot of times Kickstarters end up massively disappointing. See Mighty number 9.
Look, I just want the third Shenmue.
I love
Jason.
how the Kickstarters finally got their fake box and instruction manual for the game, and the instruction manual does not fit in the box. It's
Oh my
too big.
God. We're seriously moving further away from Sonic Mania discussion.
Okay, let's talk about that Sonic Mania game. It's
I'm going to say this.
probably one of the
It's
best
pretty-
Sonic games.
It's
in
pretty
anything.
good. It's a pretty good game.
Quit kickstarting video games. Instead, kickstart board games and hardware and things like that, because you're more likely to be happier with the end
I
result.
will say this. I've kickstarted a bunch of games, and I have gotten most of them, and I haven't hated any of them. I mean, in fairness, I didn't hate Mighty number 9. I'm just kind of, it's fine. It's fine.
And kickstart Rift Tracks because you get your money's worth.
No.
Yes.
Sonic Mania is pretty good, guys.
Oh, it's
Like-
so good.
Like, the whole, this is the first good Sonic Mania game in 23 years thing.
It is the first good
Bullshit.
Sonic Mania game.
I mean, Sonic game. It's bullshit.
It's the most well-reviewed
good.
Sonic game in 15 years. The only one to beat it is Sonic Adventure 2, which, to be honest, hasn't aged that well over time.
I think it's still pretty fun. But yeah, it certainly it's the first good Sonic game since I guess I'll just admit that I'm alone in liking Lost World. The first good Sonic game since Generations, so about 6 years. First good Sonic game in 6 years.
I like Lost World, but it's more of a 7 or 6.5. But yeah, I think it's at least as up there. It's up there with Generations. I think it's easily in my top maybe 3.
I mean,
Oh,
I don't even know how to even compare that to these, because this game is literally Sonic 3 and Knuckles Extreme Mega Remix Edition. Like,
I was thinking about how I was going to categorize this, and I can't say this is my favorite Sonic game, but I can't say it's not pretty damn close to it. I can't really say how I can compare it to the 3D games anymore. Like, I just don't know.
it's not comparable. Like, this game is literally a classic style Sonic game, but crazier. Like, just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, here's a ton of references to other things. Here's a couple stages that we've
Just
just
a fan service.
added weird stuff to. Do you
Here's a
want-
Puyo Puyo boss battle.
Here's a freaking Puyo bat. What? I was baffled whenever I got there. It was like, okay, yeah, you've referenced all the things, and then I get to a boss battle with Bean and Bark.
And that was like the second.
yeah.
Yeah, how is that not heaven where you're getting into a boss battle with Nakabine and Bark? It's like,
Oh,
oh my god.
I love that so much. It even had the classic thump from the Sonic and Knuckles fight in Sonic and Knuckles. You know, they even got that little sound effect right that I'm so nostalgic for in this character on character battle. Oh, that's like one of my favorite moments from the whole game was being able to fight these 3 obscure Sonic characters, and well, it was at best an okay boss battle, but just seeing them in the game, oh man, oh, it made me so gosh darn happy.
One of my other favorites is in the final boss. I think it's the first or second boss battle in Hydra City Zone, where you're fighting in Eggman's machine, and it's the tables have turned.
Oh my god, I love that so much.
And attacking him before guys get killed.
Like, get over here, you fat fuck! I have like 2 decades of stress to let loose on you.
I mean, it's obviously done by people who love the Sonic franchise and wanted to just make a big love letter to 16-bit classic Sonic, and they achieved it so well.
Oh,
it's a love
easily my
letter.
game of the year. Forces. I mean, I'm sure Forces will be okay, but right now it looks like crap in comparison to this game.
I wouldn't go that far, but
So I guess I would put it. What I love about it is that a lot of what you described is not only just good fan service, which it absolutely is, but it's also a situation where I've played fan games. Fan games that I've played tend to either go towards, let's either include this character that I specifically like, or let's recreate this other thing in a different way. But this takes a very different philosophy to it, in that it takes something that you know that's very familiar, but it makes very unorthodox changes to it. A lot of levels just include these very off-the-wall, wacky gimmicks that that you would not expect from the original.
Yeah,
Things
this is
like-
very much true of the Act 2s of the classic levels. Like if you look at
aside from Hydra City.
if you look at a lot of these levels side by side with their originals, up to a point they're pretty much exact, and then they kind of drift off. But Act 2 is mostly a complete remake, especially Chemical Plant Zone 2, where you're injecting the chemicals with this springy, bouncy, gelatin that just shoots you off. I love that level. I loved it so much.
They include so many more mechanics built upon that kind of Sonic 3 and Knuckles style of gameplay, adding so many level elements to what could absolutely feel like, well, I'm just going through the same thing over again. It doesn't feel like that because they've changed it so much.
And there are just, like, in the original Sonic games, there'd like maybe be 2 at level gimmicks per stage that kind of change things up. In this game, there's like either they take one and just do loads of crazy shit with it, or they like have 3, 4 level gimmicks in a stage that can completely change how you move around in that stage.
The final level is pretty much an original level, but they take the magnetic orbs from the bonus levels of Sonic 3 and make them a travel.
Oh
experiment.
man, yeah, that was crazy.
And that's what I love about this game is it's not only you're getting like all these classic levels remixed, but they're taking elements from other Sonic classic levels, certain gimmicks, and adding to it to make it a whole original experience.
And sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
Oh, Chris was about to say something.
I was just gonna say, it's not merely fan service. It's far and wide-reaching fan service built upon legitimate gameplay, which is more important. That is built upon this very solid standard Sonic gameplay, and it all just works. It's easily one of the most creative Sonic games since the Genesis era, and I don't say that lightly. Like this is the kind of creativity and interpretation that you might see in a Nintendo EAD Mario game.
That's high. Now that is high praise.
It is,
especially given what they did in the Galaxy games. My favorite stage in this whole game is probably the press garden stages, where it's like, so press garden comes from the fact that it's this weird mix between a Japanese garden and a printing press. I don't know where they got this idea.
Yeah, it's weird because when you play the game, those two levels, they don't feel the same. They feel like two different levels that just happen to be side by side and have the same color scheme.
And so like you've got all these rollers that you can bounce around on. You've got trees you can send into a tree shredder, and then you've got this ice gimmick. And like in the Sonic 3 the ice cap zone, like when you get frozen, and that was a punishment. But in this game, you basically, when you get frozen, you can basically use that to destroy enemies, to get through barriers. It's a tool.
Or in my case, completely skip a boss.
Oh, you skipped a boss?
Yes, because there's a glitch where if you're playing as Sonic and Tails, and right at the end you get frozen, and Tails hits the right giant log just before Sonic does. That log disappears, and I don't have to fight Heavy Shinobi at all. I just ran over, hit the box to release the animals, and the level was over. I never touched them.
And it's like, so they took this familiar element and just did something completely crazy with it, and it's just indicative of just how smart this whole game is. Like, you just don't see this kind of level design in side-scrolling platformers in general these days. Go on, Chris.
To give another example, one of the returning stages is Oil Ocean Zone.
Ooh, I hated that stage and loved it. Sorry, go on.
And in Sonic 2, in which Oil Ocean appeared, there was no Sonic 3 Sonic and Knuckles Fire Shield. Well, now they've added that to this game.
Oh, that's okay.
And anytime that you have the Fire Shield and jump into an oil or an oil-covered section, it just sprays fire out of each side of you and just ignites everything because you're on a frickin' ocean of oil.
And that is such a wonderful touch. I'm not sure if that had any gameplay benefits. It's just so cool.
It kills enemies.
Well, it does.
Or like even in Green Hill Zone, if you get the fire shield, you can go back to the wooden bridge with the spikes, and it will completely be engulfed in flames, and you could drop below, and there's extra boxes down below.
They added a magnetic element in Flying Battery Zone, where if you had the magnet shield, anytime that the magnets up above would ignite, it would actually pull you up and allow you to walk on the ceiling as long as that ceiling's magnetized.
And in addition to that, the electric shield can also be used to traverse whole areas. If you hit, and I think it's in the final stage, there's these two little electric prongs where electric current goes up, and you can ride the current. That's just so cool. Now, this creativity also expanded over into the boss battles. Now, I do think the boss battles, they weren't all great.
No, they're absolutely inconsistent. They're very visually fun to look at. They are very creatively designed. A lot of them do play towards fan service. A lot of them are plays on, here's the boss in the original thing, here's the way that we have adjusted or changed it. I will agree, not all of them are super fun to play.
But they can get quite creative. And I don't know if... I might just be a sucker for the gimmick. But my favorite boss battle in the game is probably the one where you're Mini Sonic fighting the Robotnik slot machine thing. And he's spitting out these miniature versions of bosses and Amy Rose and stuff. And so you're fighting all these mini bosses to fight the big boss. And it's just this neat little...
Oh, yeah, the little Amy Rose boss grabs you and then you can't move it. Well,
that, the original... I don't think Sonic Team would have done anything like this back in the 90s. And just... I love fighting that boss battle. It's probably my favorite part of... It's probably my favorite part of the whole Metallic Madness Zone.
What I like is even as far as the story progression goes, the way you play Knuckles can be very different from the way you play Sonic and Tails. Knuckles, when you first play the game, Knuckles it starts off in a completely different area because he didn't ride in with Sonic and Tails.
And
he sees what happens, and he gets his own little section of the Green Hill Zone to start off with.
And he also gets the better version of Mirage Saloon.
Oh, and Mirage Saloon! Oh my God, he gets knocked off the plane. He gets an entire level, completely different from what Sonic and Tails got, plus his own really cool music that I'll be playing at the end of the show tonight for this episode. And it's a wonderful little beat where they got a little bit of country and a little bit of hip hop in it, and then at times they put in those cow auctioneers going, "Heard heaven, 35, 45."
I say my least favorite level in the entire game was probably the first act of Mirage Saloon for Sonic, because I don't know, like, I guess
there was too much. There was
dashing off of the damn plane.
There was too much of the plane. There was a little too much plane.
Like I do kind of have some nostalgia towards Sonic on top of the plane, but I just don't find that as fun as an actual full-on level of loopy-loops and stuff. So, Chris, like, what's your favorite boss battle in the game?
That's real tough. I'm actually looking through right now, and I'm not a big fan of Mean Bean Machine, but when that popped up and I realized what exactly was going on, that was a very significant moment of me just looking at it cockeyed and trying to think, what are you doing to me? What is going on? What am I playing?
And thankfully, it wasn't a hard game. Thankfully,
no, it's not. It's like maybe a level 1 type of boss for that even I can set up some really basic combos and just dominate. But it took me so off guard that I think I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
So, Mean Bean Machine then.
It's hard for me to pick something that just kind of stuck out to me as much, even if I'm not the biggest Puyo fan. As much as I love Puyo Puyo Tetris, I have difficulty with Puyo, but it's just a situation where I love games that can make me laugh, games that can surprise me, and this was one of those games.
I'm a little pissed off at one of my one of my Facebook friends, Michael Peters II, who he's a good guy, but he posted a picture of the Mean Bean Machine boss before the game came out, and that really upset me because this would have been such a pleasant surprise. And
in addition to that, you also had someone on the on Twitter also spoil something.
I forget which one that was. Oh yeah, and they spoiled that. You know, I saw one picture of Bean. I didn't know they were the boss. I thought he was just in the game. But yeah, that was a little spoiled at that. I was still really shocked I was able to fight all three of them.
But this is
that's probably my favorite boss battle of the ones.
But this is why I was actually for the first time in a long time I was actually trying to avoid spoilers of something.
Oh yeah, because normally a 60-bit
that's going to surprise
60-bit 2D game you wouldn't expect much spoilers, but when it's this fan service heavy, you don't want to get any major spoilers.
So, Chris, do you have a favorite level?
That's again just a tough one. Like I had to look through and remind myself of all the levels because I've really only played through about 1.5 times. I have a lot of affection for... when I was younger, I had Sonic and Knuckles, but I didn't have Sonic 3, so I kind of have a lot of affection for Flying Battery Zone. That's kind of a big one for me. I know Press Gardens is just visually amazing. Like, it is a visually stunning stage whenever you're playing through it, and it has a lot of creative physics play in it that I really enjoy. Beyond that, I mean, it's just, I think I really do like some of the new stages to it. Part of me wishes for another game like this where all of it's new, but I know that would require a lot more
time.
Let's say a lot of time and energy compared to what they do with this, even with as much as they've done to these stages.
Well, I think this also plays it safe for that. It gives people a lot of the sense of the familiar while they're able to offer something new too.
I think that on the road to side-scrolling 2D Sonic games, Sonic Mania is definitely probably the perfect first step towards making something like that.
I have no doubt we're going to get more of these in the future.
So, Jason, do you have a favorite stage?
A favorite stage? I'm thinking maybe Mirage Saloon Act 2. I like the giant guns you get to shoot out of, plus the seltzer bottles where you get to run down those.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I'm a bit of a fan of Metallic Madness because I didn't get to play much Sonic CD back in the day. I didn't really care for that, so getting to play it again, it felt brand new to me. Especially, of course, Act 2 is brand new.
Yeah.
But now that was a good stage too. We should talk also about the music by T. Lopes, which has been incredible.
I love the music in this game. I love your work, T. Lopes.
Oh my god! And then I was reading an interview about him, and I guess the boss battles for the Hard-Boiled Heavies was based off Cowboy Bebop and Jet Set Radio mix.
Really?
I believe that. I believe that 100%.
Because those are my favorite boss music levels. The Eggman ones are just okay; they're pretty good. But yeah, Hard-Boiled Heavies is great. And those are great villains too. It's not like something like Infinite where it's got to be this overly edgy, thing that wants to destroy the world. There's just these adorable egg robos. They're all menacing.
Well, I don't know. I'd say that the top Hard-Boiled Heavy is a little. He's got a little of the evil.
Oh yeah, the Heavy King. You can only fight him when you're Supersonic.
He's got a little of the evil final boss who betrays Eggman thing going for him. Like the whole final boss battle is basically the two of them fighting over a time stone.
Well, it's for a Phantom. It's called a Phantom Ruby, and that.
Phantom Ruby.
That ties into the ending of the game a little bit. So if you haven't beaten the Supersonic, it's going to be a little bit of a spoiler because there's just one scene that was added, and that's if you defeat Heavy King and you'll have the Phantom Ruby. You see the same scenario with the what is it? The little planet with the chain, but instead of Knuckles, Tails, and Sonic all being there, it's just Knuckles and Tails, and Sonic is shooting off into another dimension thanks to the Phantom Ruby, and you see him make the same pose he makes when he enters the Sonic's world in Sonic Forces. So that's their tie to Sonic Forces.
Huh. So Sonic Mania technically takes place right before.
Yeah, Sonic Mania is a prequel to Sonic Forces.
You can both shut up right now about this stupid thing that you're saying that somehow any of it matters. Like,
hey, Sonic games have continuity, Chris. I'm sorry, but they do. They have a lore, they have an established storyline, they have a timeline.
Sure they do.
So, we should probably discuss the special stages and the bonus stages. Am I the only person here who still likes Blue Sphere?
I mean,
you know what? I really hated it at first. I think there's still too much of it in the game, but now I'm kind of addicted to going to this Blue Sphere stages to try to get the silver medals because I'm so close.
I always loved those things, and I still do.
I was terrible at them on Sonic 3, absolutely terrible. And I think the reason I'm better at this is that it's got a proper frame rate to it now. Because it wasn't always 60 frames per second. I don't think on Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I think it was actually 30, and that drop of frame rate could affect you so easily because you have to have a quick reaction time. And there's still times I accidentally turned the wrong way and hit a red bubble, or a red sphere. But now I'm doing much better at them. I'd still appreciate it if it was like, okay, 30 levels, you get something like the Gumball machine, bonus level from.
Yeah, I kind of wish they had a bit of that.
Maybe 60 rings, you get the blue sphere. Because when it's only blue sphere all the time, it gets kind of annoying.
Well, I guess don't hit the stars if I don't want blue sphere. So I get it at about the frequency I want it.
Yeah, but with me, I can't help myself. I have to try to get the.
That's not the game's fault, Jason. That's your fault. That's your problem, man. So Chris was trying to say something.
Yeah,
Chris?
I I have apparently all the muscle memory retained from playing that over and over for the last 2 decades. So I'm actually at almost all of them gold except one. I have all of them
Wow.
completed, but
Wow.
only one that isn't gold. So
So that's pretty damn good, man. Like, I'm way behind you.
I will tell you, one of the final unlocks you get for it is that you unlock just Blue Sphere as a game.
Huh.
And then they also include a special version made for Mania that I cannot begin to wrap my mind around, because they include a whole bunch of new spheres. Like
Oh my God.
green ones that turn into blue ones after you collect them once. And
Wow.
now I have to think, well, how do I make a ring around them now and collect them?
Okay, I think I know why they call this game Sonic Mania. It's because the people who made this game are fucking nuts.
They are. I mean,
that's why.
that much is clear.
This is after you collect all the gold medals, because I don't think I'll be able to ever collect all
I
the
don't know
gold
if it's
medals.
all the gold ones, but I at least have every one of them in silver. I don't.
Yeah, I'm trying to get all the silver. Like I said, I'm about 6 away.
So now the Blue Spheres thing used to be my favorite special stage from the classic games, but now if I were to factor Mania into this, I'd probably upgrade it to the Mania special stages.
Those are great ones.
Whenever we initially discussed this, I had a hard time kind of wrapping my head around what you were describing with it being 3D like it is. I appreciate that.
It's Sonic CD style 3D with the Mode 7 and what have you.
Oh, it's better
a
than
Saturn
it's
graphics.
better than Sonic CD.
Oh,
3D.
definitely it's better than
Oh,
it's
yeah.
better than Sonic CD.
But I appreciate it thematically because the actual entrance to those stages are polygonal rings.
yeah.
So it makes some amount of thematic sense that he would become polygonal in those specific special stages.
Yeah. And I really do enjoy the 3D graphics in this. You don't tend to see a lot of retro 32-bit 3D graphics in modern games. Like,
No, I mean-
apparently
Well, they said when they were designing it, they wanted a game that could be like,
yeah.
looks like it could
Saturn.
be played on the Saturn.
And you know, they did say that this could technically be ported to the Dreamcast, FYI. Like we're getting loads of these retro sprite-based games, but no retro 3D stuff. And so this was just a nice breath of fresh air for me visually. And it's also just really fun to play. I mean, yeah, it can be hard as hell, unless you cheat like I did for the 5th Chaos Emerald. And, do the whole jumping them
I couldn't get that. I tried that. I couldn't get it mastered.
against the direction he's jumping in order to get him to go fast. But aside from that, I really just enjoy playing these. Is there any way to actually play the special stages by themselves?
I haven't found anything myself.
Darn. I was hoping that would be one of the unlockables.
Well,
I kind
you
of find
can always
it.
go into you can always go into debug mode and play them there. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Huh, okay. Cool.
That-
Yeah,
That's
you go into
one of the unlocks you get.
Or if you start a new game, and do you guys know of the Green Hill glitch from if you're
Yeah,
playing
I'm
as
aware.
Sonic or Sonic and Tails?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can get down to the one big ring real easy. Just
So
play 'em
what?
there.
In debug
That's how I
mode-
collected. That's how I collected all the 7 Chaos Emeralds.
In debug mode, can you like summon special rings or something?
Oh yeah, it's just like the other debug modes in the game in the past
I
games.
loved playing with debug mode in the Sonic 3 and Knuckles. That was like one of my favorite things. Was like,
So I guess it's worth talking
Yeah.
about some of the weird, crazy unlockables in it because
and Knuckles, the
Yes,
best.
they-
one.
Knuckles and Knuckles mode.
you
The
know
best one.
I'm not a meme guy,
Screw you.
but
And Knuckles is the best thing.
okay. Let me finish. I'm not a meme guy. I enjoy the occasional meme that maybe sticks with me a bit, but I generally don't like memes because they are very simple jokes that just are their own jokes that someone has taken no effort into making and done nothing with.
Chris is humorous.
I appreciate this because this is very clearly doing an extreme amount of effort in order to make a very stupid joke. And
Well,
appreciate that.
I appreciate this on a different level. I mean, as you guys know, I'm a Knuckles fan. I like Knuckles, and one of the things I always loved playing in those in Sonic and Knuckles as a kid was the bit where Sonic and Knuckles meet up, they fight, and then they team up and they go on a little excursion to Sky Sanctuary, and then Knuckles just gets tired for some stupid reason, tells Sonic to go off on his own. And I always wanted to be able to play with Sonic and Knuckles on screen at the same time. And this mode finally realized my dumb childhood dream. And in such a cool fashion too. Like I just love having those two characters running around on the screen fighting bosses.
It's
Man.
too bad it has to be in no save mode, but I understand why they did it.
To clarify, what really gets Alex here his chub on is that you can play and Knuckles mode, which will give you a Tails-like basically you have Tails, except Tails is Knuckles. And
it's an upgrade.
the most significant part of this is that you can start a game as Knuckles with
And Knuckles.
So you
Yep.
are Knuckles, and your partner is Knuckles.
And apparently, this even has a special ending. If you can beat the game with it, a special little animated ending.
Oh lordy!
I haven't seen it. I think I might just go ahead and spoil myself of it soon. But
a lot of the other stuff is a little bit mundane. Like you can get, you can just unlock a Mean Bean Machine / Poyo mode. You can unlock the different versions of Sonic's neutral behavior, like if you want the Insta Shield, or if you want the figure 8 peel out, you could change that. Now, any of those changes you can only play without a save, but it's still fun.
It eliminates the drop dash too if you do that.
yeah, I do think it's a bit of a shame that you can't have at least the figure 8 along with the drop dash in the regular game. That would be good.
But
So-
other than that, I mean, wow, is this a great game? For
So, like, do we have,
$20, it's so worth it.
so now, if we're done talking about Sonic Mania proper, I know this isn't technically in our itinerary, but do we want to talk about where the Sonic franchise should go from here? Because I think that could be an interesting discussion. Or are we done for today?
Well, I know that was actually one of the things that I brought up prior, and my biggest concern was how was Sega positioning Sonic Mania? And I think as it was getting closer, it was becoming very clear how Sega was positioning it, especially after it is selling very, very well. Like, incomparably to other recent Sonic games. Like, it's getting good reviews. It's getting good
Great.
word of mouth, which, I mean, Sonic 4 got good reviews, but it didn't get good word of mouth. It got very
Still
poor
a
word
current
of mouth.
bestseller on Switch, on US, UK, and I think in Japan. I'd have to check.
Yeah, it would have charted if the different charting organizations actually could count digital sales, which the publishers don't necessarily release that information. We just know this is doing well. People care about this. People who are critical of Sonic significantly like this for a lot of the reasons that we said, beyond just the fan service.
Like, my God, like I even found an article on Twitter from Business Insider, and it said Sega makes the first good Sonic game. Period.
That's just mean.
Yeah, that's mean.
I mean, it also, but it speaks to the fact that this game has kind of changed the rhetoric around Sonic. Like, people, it's significant to say, people have very poor memories about this stuff because a lot of people played Sonic 06 and said, "I'm done. I'm done." They they very clearly
I should have done that.
pay attention selectively to what's going on. Was Sonic Colors good?
It's not the number
What
one.
about Sonic 06? Remember Sonic 06? Was Sonic Generations pretty good? I don't know. That's Sonic that Sonic Boom, remember that was so bad because I don't know character design.
Sonic
Errors.
seems to suffer from this weird franchise amnesia that I think no other game franchise seems to have an issue with. Where it's
Okay,
like,
Sonic Mania is currently #1 in the UK and the US on Switch, and in Japan it's #6.
nice. Well, even in Japan, that's pretty damn impressive because Sonic's never done well in Japan.
Now that said, I mean,
It's above One Piece, so that's something.
people who give it a chance do have people who still give the franchise a chance still have their ups and downs with it. It's the difference of this being much more consistent in its approval, we'll say. It's the first Sonic game that, like I said, really doesn't necessarily take chances with artistry, but takes chances with design.
Right.
And from
First one says
that,
Unleashed, anyway.
from that perspective, I think that is a big thing that's connecting with people, aside from the fact that, hey, we actually made a damn classic Sonic game in the style that everyone wanted in the first place. Like, it's not just that they're doing that, but they're doing that as well as they are.
And I think Sega really needs to build on this. Like, I am so terrified that they're going to go like, this is going to be like what they did with Sonic Generations, where they made a really good game, and then it's just nothing out of them from this particular formula for years, if ever. Like, I don't even know if Sonic Forces is really going to be a proper sequel to Sonic Generations at this point, because that buddy thing that Avatar character just has me so goddamn worried.
I mean, this is not going to be I don't think this is going to be a situation where we will see another Sonic Mania at the same clip that we got Mega Man 9 and then Mega Man 10.
You know what? They could do it.
It's possible it'll come in 2 years.
They could, but I don't think that's where... I don't think the franchise is to that point yet where they could comfortably do it at that rate. I think we're looking at least 3 years between a release like that.
I'd be surprised if it was that long. For me, though, I think they need to do, after this, they need to do Sonic Mania 2. And then they need to do a completely original game utilizing the Retro Engine. I think that's the kind of path they need to take with this, while at the same time making their 3D, trying to make some consistently good 3D games, but you know, at a slower clip than their 2D games.
Now, the biggest fear I would have given this game's success is the same fear that kind of some people had realized with Sonic 4 is if this idea is approached by Sonic Team or Dimps or some other third party that isn't necessarily as carefully detailed about what they're doing as the team that they brought together for this project. And they've had Christian Whitehead on staff for a while doing a lot of projects. He's done the Sega CD port, which was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. He's done 2 ports of Sonic. So I believe he did the Sonic 1 port for mobile and the Sonic 2 port for mobile. Yeah, this feels kind of like the culmination of all of that. And he absolutely should remain as kind of a person, as kind of the on-call person for, I know what to do with classic Sonic. I have an idea of what classic Sonic
person
could
on
be.
this.
Yes.
He needs to be the guy who just runs this entire sector of the franchise, as far as I'm concerned. Now, what I'm kind of worried about is what happens if Sonic Mania does really well. It critically does really well, and then Sonic Forces, Sonic Forces comes out, and let's say gets critically panned, has mediocre sales.
Oh, no one's gonna. No, I can tell you right now. Well, First off, people are not going to like Sonic Forces because Sonic Mania came out this year, and because oh my God, they're pandering to the fans with these You can create your own fan character.
I've been saying this for a long
I
time.
wasn't thinking of this in this way, but go on.
There's nothing Sonic Forces can do to help itself in the broader interpretation because people have already made up their mind about how they feel about the Sonic fan community and
I don't disagree.
everything else like that. Like, there's no one's gonna give it a chance. It's
The other
dead.
problem is that it's coming out, so in such a short time between Sonic Mania, they are obviously going to compare the two, and Sonic Mania has everything that, most Sonic fans want, and of course the retro fans want, and the people who are not major Sonic fans who've seen how the modern Sonic has been treated are going to look at Sonic Forces as another crappy modern Sonic game, and they won't even think twice about it. Where I think if Sonic Forces had come out maybe in 2018, or was just or 2016 even, and was just its own game, people wouldn't be having to compare it to Sonic Mania. It would just be its own thing.
So what I was voicing concern about was,
and that's possibly why I think it might be. Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I think that's might be partially why this game's coming out at $39.99 instead of $49 or $59. Is that Mania is doing so well, it's going to overshadow this game.
Now, I do think there will be an alternate side effect to this that we might actually generally be okay with, and I think it's that given Generations and Forces and this, I think classic style Sonic is here to stay.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think that he's going to be around in whatever the story they want to tell with Sonic. I don't think he'll be there consistently, but I think we will periodically see him come back just to be something or do something as they need him.
So here's what I'm trying to voice concern about. Basically, what I was talking about was I'm worried about corporate politics. What happens if this? What happens if this game humiliates Sonic Team? And Sonic Team doesn't like that, and maybe they don't like this American who can make a better Sonic game than they can.
I think that's a question,
because that's a thing that's actually happened within game companies, including Sega.
Oh, Sega's terrible. Sega is an awful company, not helped by the fact that Yuji Naka was terrible in the Saturn era to everyone around him. That he was a toxic force in development in that era.
From what I've gathered, from what I've seen, Takashi Iizuka does seem to be a lot better. But we haven't seen something like this happen before under his control, where an American developer manages to do this with Sonic.
But at the same time, we have seen Dimps developed games, which Sonic Rush didn't blow up, but it was done well. I don't know his involvement with that, but it wasn't necessarily his Sonic team doing it.
No, it was not. No.
Yes.
Like Dimps is ex-SNK members.
No, there's plenty of Sonic games that didn't directly involve Iizuka, even if his name was on the...
But none of them were quite like Mania.
I can understand what you're saying. Like, it's not necessary. I can see it less like I'm mad because they're doing it in this way, and more along the lines of pressure from above to make it more to push it more this way. But at the same time, Sega. When has Sega ever made the right business decision?
Well, they made Sonic Mania.
They made Sonic Mania. They commissioned Sonic Mania to be made, and they bought Atlas, and they released the Sega Genesis, and I think that's about it.
And also, they did Sonic and Streets of Rage and Echo the Dolphin and Virtual Fighter. They had a whole bunch of popular franchises in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s.
I mean, all of those choices are arguable. I'm just saying.
Now, they aren't good. They weren't good managing those franchises, but they still made very profitable franchises. Any case. But yeah, I guess please don't fire Christian Whitehead, Sega. Don't fire him. Unlike Chris, I think you're a great company. Don't fire him, please. Don't fire Christian Whitehead. I
don't think you're going to fire somebody who's just made them a ton of money.
That corporations don't always work, don't always act rationally, especially when it comes to corporate politics.
Well, first and foremost, I don't think he's necessarily hired by them.
Well, okay.
I think he is a
That's
studio to them that they can
that's
ask
true.
to go back to. Like, I don't necessarily think they're going to go back to what's the Borderlands studio?
Gearbox. No, they gotta stay far away from fucking.
I
Gearbox.
think they would be morons to go and ask Gearbox to do anything for, as well as Sega clearly keeps an eye on all of their external partners, Sonic Boom, and Sonic Chronicles. Dear God, there's so many examples of. There's so many examples of Sega doesn't know how to handle external partnerships.
They actually won an award for being a publisher back like I think five or 6 years ago.
Oh, they'll throw money at anyone and anything. They published a Game Freak game called Tambo the Badass Elephant. They released
take chances, yeah.
Rhythm Thief in the same day that Theater Rhythm was coming out, because what the hell? They have no business plan, but they'll throw money at it. Where do they get that money? I don't know. If you were to tell me that they're a front to... if there's some sort of... If they are literally a Yakuza front to have money laundered, I would look at their business and decisions and maybe not agree, but not be shocked.
I wonder if Aaron Weber still listens to us.
No, I'm sure he does, because I'm sure in the final mix, Jason just mutes my track. Now, I love Sega. I think they're a series of great developers. I think they have made some business decisions that I clearly don't understand. Maybe they are good business decisions. Maybe they aren't. They're still in business, even if they're kind of owned by Sammy and work as a third party, but they're out there. They're putting out more games than Capcom is.
Oh, yeah, and Konami.
Well, Konami doesn't count.
Sure they do.
That's not a fair comparison.
Yeah, they're a legitimate game publisher.
Yeah, I guess Pachinko is a legitimate game.
They're making that Metal Gear Zombie game, and
yeah, that sounds legitimate as hell. Of course.
They made that Bomberman game for the Switch, which was actually pretty good after the patch.
Yeah, after Nintendo asked them to do it, and then were pressured to make it a good game because so many people bought it.
In any case, all right. So I don't think I have much else to discuss with Sonic Mania.
I think we've ran the well dry here.
You should, if you haven't bought it already, it's a phenomenal game. It's amazing. You should buy it. You should play it. If you have any affection for the Genesis era, it's great. If you just love 2D platformers, it's fantastic. If you love the Sonic if you are looking for Sonic fan service, it's a fascinating interpretation of all that in very clever and very innovative ways to bring all that in. It's kind of like it almost makes me want to see, what does Sega officially own in any of their Sonic franchises? What characters do they own? What concepts do they own? Can I get some sort of Wes Weasley reference in a Sonic game that is 2D?
Honestly, I would just be happy if we could finally get Mighty the Armadillo and something again.
I'm a little surprised we didn't see any reference to Mighty Ray.
Yeah. That was a little disappointing. I was hoping like Mighty would show up as a secret playable character or something, since he's basically just a Sonic clone to begin with.
Keep this man in business. He is an asset to you.
But Sonic Mania 2 needs to have the Chaotix and Mighty. And you know what? I'd love to see Ray the Squirrel too, just to see if you still own him. And also the completely original Sonic game after that. I hope you guys don't hate me for this. I really would love them to do a Sonic 2D game with hand-drawn graphics.
Why would I've been saying that for years. I've been saying, hey, who could we give a Sonic game to? Well, let's have Way Forward do it. Like,
or Christian Whitehead and Tyson Hess.
right. Oh, I'm saying that's fine too. But I'm saying, like, Sonic Boom broke my heart because that was the Western designed Sonic game. And regardless of how buggy it was, like, it was not an ambitious game. They decided to make a beat 'em up with, I guess, speed elements.
It was basically just a mediocre beat 'em up game. So.
It was,
Yeah.
I stand by it was one step above a Lego game in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
But I also have a very low opinion of Lego game gameplay.
And yeah, it was better than the Sonic Lego game as far as I'm concerned.
But I'm very glad to see a Western developer make a phenomenal Sonic game. I want to see more of that. And I want to see it in a way that keeps it more of a platformer and hopefully plays on comedy. I want to see more Sonic comedy, please. We're probably going to talk about Sonic Boom before the end of the night, but I'd like to remind people we're on episode 42 of the second season, which tells me we're getting close to the end, and they haven't announced any sort of renewal, so I kind of feel like we're reaching the end.
Oh.
I don't know for sure because I mean we got the writers, you know, and the voice actors still promoting it heavily. And they were even promoting it heavily at Comic-Con. And this is after it's been in the, you know, second season, and I'm pretty sure production's almost, if not all done.
Jason, I would love to believe. I absolutely 100%. I just feel like Sega doesn't care.
Well, I know
I feel like Sega sees Sonic Boom as kind of a dead end.
The way it's treated, that's
Sonic Boom
like
is kind of a dead end.
Like, yeah, Sonic. I kind of agree with that. It might be time for it to. I don't want it to come to an end, but it might be time. I think like it's pretty much they have nothing left to really say on that series.
The games were never that successful. The comic book got canceled after 11 issues. The cartoon is pretty good, but I mean,
Toys R Us is still selling merchandise, but that's about it.
At least in America, the cartoon, you know, doesn't get much play. Unfortunately,
actually shocked me. I went to Toys R Us the other day. They still have a brand new Sonic toys coming out every once in a blue moon.
I mean, you know what would be better than Sonic Boom? You know, I'd like more than Sonic Boom would maybe be some sort of hand-drawn Sonic game with characters from Tyson Hess, and maybe you could like make a side-scrolling original Sonic game using the retro engine that uses Tyson Hess's designs and has completely hand-drawn graphics that are colorful and in HD. You know, just throwing some ideas out there, Sega. Maybe hire Ian Flynn to write it, and like make kind of an action adventure comedy kind of thing. Maybe put it on Netflix. You know, just some ideas of what I'd like to see.
And I'm gonna keep it even simpler than that. Just keep Sonic funny, because funny Sonic has been way better than Action Sonic, than serious Action Sonic. And I can tell I'm getting hot now because my head and face is getting all disgusting on camera.
Personally, I would love a animated version of what the Archie comics were, and those were like action adventure comedy, action adventures with enough comedy to keep things light.
And I agree, I would love that. I just think that's a lot less attainable than funny, sort of self-aware Sonic.
Well, you know,
at the level that Sonic Boom kind of had.
I like to be very optimistic. Yes.
While we're going on to this topic of Sonic Boom, I guess we'll mention I want to do a little bit of review of one of their latest episodes, Where Have All the Sonics Gone?
That was a funny
which was a really fun episode, which I honestly felt could have been benefited for maybe a two-parter, being a little more epic. Okay. It felt like stuff wasn't I know I'm saying this about a comedy, but I mean it wasn't taken too seriously for the kind of story that they had that I think could have gone.
I mean here's the basic premise. Sonic, Dr. Eggman and his brother send Sonic into another dimension where he never existed.
Steve Eggman, aka Morpho, yeah.
Yeah,
and they figure out a place to take him where Sonic never existed, and he's now Eggman is now
breaks
Lord Eggman, and he rules over the village. But
And they're freedom fighters, led by Amy
they're
Rose.
not called the Freedom Fighters; they're called the Resistance.
Oh,
led by
gosh darn thing.
led by.
I'm going to say they're not the same thing because the term freedom fighters has weight in this context.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Yeah, they're the Resistance, and of course they're led by. Oh, I just lost the name. Styx, which makes the most sense because of course she'd be resistant to anything. But and it's actually a really funny and well written episode. In fact, because in this dimension you got Styx as the Resistance, Amy, who starts out as just a regular citizen, but she wants to fight back, so she sees Sonic fighting back against this Eggman, decides to join him.
And Knuckles, being the best and funniest character, gets to be
this is one of the things. So in this dimension, some people benefit from Eggman's rule instead of against.
And
Knuckles,
Tails is his intern.
Yeah, Tails is Eggman's intern, and Tails actually likes. That's what I said. Eggman is Eggman's intern.
I was correcting myself. Sorry.
And Knuckles is the host of upper body building gym. No, they don't have leg day, basically. And Meb Burger is Gourmet Burger. But the one problem with this is Eggman's rule isn't really that bad because really the only ones who are suffering are the Gogobas. He's enslaved the Gogobas and make him carry him around in his chair. And everybody, when he passes by, everybody has to bow to him. But other than that, it's pretty much business as usual for the village.
I mean,
and they have a much better burger choice.
I mean, this is Sonic Boom, so it's not like they're just gonna like have Robotnik like capturing and roboticizing people and separating families and all that stuff.
Well, I kind of seen him as having them as slave workers or something similar to what he was doing with the Gogobas. I think it could have been a little bit more like that four-parter they did in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, where he eventually got the all the 7 Chaos Emeralds, and they had that more of adventure storytelling as long with comedy. Where they kept pulling back on the story for the sake of comedy purposes, but
certainly
it also
it would have been good to have this as a two-parter.
Yeah, and my favorite part is Morpho trying to back in the regular Sonic universe, trying to convince Amy and the others that he's Sonic, as he can.
That's the best part.
Oh, come on, Amy! I'm totally Sonic. What's up, Doc? And then my favorite was the best humor in the series. Right at the end, where Sonic comes back and he's like, and Eggman's like, no, that's not the real Sonic. This guy is Sonic, and he goes, yippity dip skipperoo! I'm Sonic. Gotta catch them all. That line made me laugh so hard.
I wonder if that was one of the Ian Flynn written episodes.
Yeah, I like how Eggman and Steve Eggman basically hang out at Eggman's robot mom's house. And this series is so becoming Adventures of Sonic and that kind of way. We got all these silly extra characters.
This is way better
in a good way, where they got these ultra silly characters and we're just okay with them, like Eggman's mom.
I will say that Eggman's Robomom is not as good as Mama Robotnik. Nothing beats Mama Robotnik.
No. But overall, it was a really good episode that I think could have benefited more from being like a two-parter at least. But I still had a lot of fun with it, and we did get to see a little cameo of Vector, because it's one of the characters Morpho spun into. Because these episodes are done out of order. So at one point, Morpho's showing out characters he could spin into, and he spin into Vector, into Shadow, into Metal Sonic. And Vector Detector will be an upcoming episode on, I believe it's September 9th. So it's going to be an episode starring Vector.
I'm just interested in seeing other Sonic characters kind of in that style.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. Vector looks pretty much the same, except he's got kind of a cool leather jacket thing. He actually looks better in this show than he does in the games. Surprisingly.
I hope he has a better voice actor. I hope it's not like, hey guys, it's a fight in the computer room. I could really go for not having that, guys.
I don't know. I think it might be the same. I think it's the same guy who voices Q-Bot. I'm not sure.
Oh, that wouldn't be quite as bad.
I mean, we don't we don't have the same cast, so it can't.
Yeah.
Literally-
Aside from Robotnik, we still have the Mike Pollock as Eggman, but aside from him,
I mean, it has certainly helped that this specific cast is made out of people who are, I hate to say it this way, but are more
They're talented.
experienced voice actors
yeah.
as voice actors. Like Ryan Drummond, yeah, okay.
Well, Jason Griffith had some experience before Sonic X.
Yeah, but Jason Griffin his experience was 4Kids quality stuff, and he couldn't emote his way out of a wet paper bag.
my God.
Apparently, Jason Griffith was in Berserk, if I remember correctly.
I mean, a lot of those voice actors were associated with other anime companies. I bought a DVD box set from Right Stuff whenever it was super cheap. It was just called Space Pirate Mito because it looked stupid. I don't know. It looked ancient.
Was it stupid enough for you?
Like the main character I was listening to, and she's basically, what if Sonic X Amy Rose was just foul-mouthed all the time?
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So same quality voice acting, huh?
Yeah, it was funny, but like it's hard to tell with that because I was clearly watching an older anime or something with an older style to it that was like an early 90s anime style, but dubbed in an older company. I don't know. It was older.
So, Chris, did you see that episode of Sonic Boom?
I have not yet.
Okay.
I'm
So
trying to catch up. Like, honestly, I thought today I had caught up on all of them, and then I realized, oh crap, I didn't start my playlist at the right spot. And I missed that one, so yeah.
7 o'clock. I really need to get going. It's really hot in my room. I need to get to where there's air conditioning.
All
Even
right.
if I have a fan on me, I'm still sweating like crazy.
I want to eat a late dinner now, so I'm ready to go. So let's wrap this up, guys.
Okay.
All right, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you all next month. And I think next month, if we don't have any major Sonic news, I want to just talk about the end of Archie Comics and its history.
I'm going to make a small plug because I'm going to be on a podcast next week.
Let's get away.
For anyone who is a Nintendo World Report Patreon subscriber, they've released special Patreon Plays Game Club style podcasts, and this month is Metroid Zero Mission. So I've done podcasts with them regarding Ghost Trick and Super Mario RPG. And I will be participating in this one as well. It's lots of fun. I get to talk to some of the hosts, some hosts of their other podcast, as well as the head of the whole site itself. Just having fun, having good times, talking fun games. So keep an eye out for that. If you are interested in paying even just a small amount to get extra content, I am sorry for plugging something that is not Sonic Stadium and requires money and benefits me in no way.
Chris, you're an awful person, Chris.
I am, but that's for other reasons.
You're fired, Chris. You're not allowed on here anymore.
Okay.
Jason, we need a new third chair.
Good luck. You haven't replaced me yet, and this is probably the least controversial thing I've said on the show.
This is the cliffhanger we're ending on, guys. Chris is fired. Who will we replace him with?
You'll replace
Probably
it
my
with
roommate.
this new guy. It'd be Srich. Backwards.
Nope. We're not hiring your evil brother.
But he has a mustache.
I hate mustaches, Chris. No.
Then I'm very sorry. You're in the wrong series. Peace out, guys.
I'm in the right one. Screw you. I'm in the right one. Yeah. Oh, fuck.